wonderful Savior Jesus Christ for giving us a life of health and strength, allowing us to do what we do on a daily basis and placing us in this blessed and prosperous land. So, guys, I guess you all been watching the news and seeing what the news is talking about. The news is talking about some 15-year-old false allegations they got drummed up against me and all these salacious things they want to talk about that didn't happen. And, you know, it just seems like, you know, they tried to get me on what I did say. And when they couldn't get me on what I did say, then they tried to make up something that they didn't say. But the bottom line is this. Everything that they've been talking about me has been meant to distract from the facts. And what are the facts? The facts are this. We have a state right now that's in a precarious situation. We have a nation right now that is darn sure in a precarious situation. Yes. Now, I want you to think about this fact. Local news agencies are following me around to every church that I go to and every speech that I go to and everywhere I go. And the only thing you ever hear come out of my mouth, according to them, is something negative. They have never talked about what I've been talking about from all across this state. Every county I've been in, every group I've been in front of. I've talked about how our entire campaign is about our economy and the 5 pillars that it stands on. And I want you to do a test now. I want you to do a test. If there was some mainstream media in here, they could be in here and film everything I'm about to say, and you wouldn't see it on TV. They would not hear you talk about the fact that my major concern as governor is going to be to concentrate on the 5 pillars that our economy is built on. Public safety, public education, health care, infrastructure, and housing. They won't talk to you about why the governor of this state is important when it comes to those things, because the governor appoints the people, and the people who are over those agencies, DOT, DEQ, DPS, the Department of Public Safety, the state school board that sets the standards for your local agencies. They don't want to talk about that. They also don't want to talk about the facts of this state when it comes to our economy, and how prior to 2010, before the Republicans took over the legislature, the Democrats had control of this whole state. And guess who was a member of that legislature? Josh Stein, my opponent. He never talks about that. And when he was in charge and the Democrats were in charge, we were $6 billion in debt to the federal government. $6 billion in debt to the federal government. We were furloughing state workers because we couldn't afford to pay them. Teachers didn't get a raise for a whole 6 years. Their pay was frozen. We couldn't afford to give them teachers raises. Nobody wanted to come here and do business. Taxes were through the roof. Regulations were outrageous. Republicans took over in 2010 and got to work on our economy. 14 years later, where are we at now under Republican legislature leadership? We have a $5 billion surplus. We're the #2 business destination in the nation. We were #1 2 years running. We lost out to Glenn Youngkin, who's a Republican. I told him when I saw him, we're getting that back when I get in office. That's right. And everybody's ready to do business here in North Carolina. Small business volumes are at an all-time high despite the woes that we see on the federal level. Those folks never want to talk about those facts. They never want to talk about that. Instead, they choose to lean on garbage, old news, half the truth, outright lies. They're not looking at what's going on right now. I told this group of reporters, and I told them to their face, and I meant it. There was everybody there from ABC to CBS to all the rest of them. I told them the thing that I'm most disappointed in is this, that they use their news cameras to chase people down to try to destroy them personally. Meanwhile, while they're talking about garbage that doesn't make any difference to anybody, guess what's happening right now out on our streets right now? I guarantee you somebody out here in North Carolina just bought the dose of fentanyl that's going to kill them. They just bought it. And tonight, some family's going to get that phone call tonight. There's somebody right now that's going to go to bed tonight and not get a wink of sleep. You know why? They're going to be worried about how they're going to keep their small business open because of inflation. There's somebody right now that just sent their kid off to school this morning and are worried about whether or not they're going to come home safe because they can't find a decent school for them to go to. There's somebody out there right now that's got that beloved family member that's languishing in bad health because they can't find a decent place to get decent health care or decent personal care. These are the issues we need to be worried about, folks. This is not about personalities. I can tell you right now, if an elected official is in office doing what they need to do and working on the issues that they need to be working on, and I'm standing up and I'm looking, I'm saying, man, gas is cheap, prices are down, the economy is booming, healthcare is great. I don't care if he's got fangs, guys. I don't care what he looks like. The guy can have bat wings growing out the side of his head. I don't care. This is not about personality. It's not about looks. It's not about whether or not it gives you a warm, fuzzy feeling inside. Nobody gave a hoot in Hades about bad tweets when gas was $1.45 a gallon.
You're right about that.
I'll take bad tweets and $1.45 a gallon gas all day long compared to what we got right now. This race is about the issues. And this race is about being up here with the people, not being down in the mud with the pigs. I'll let my opponents do that. We're staying up here with you all. We're fighting back against CNN. We have a lawyer that we have hired to properly do it. And we're moving on with our campaign, folks. Because what they meant to stop us has done nothing but energize us for the better. Yeah! You want that? You want great public safety? You want great schools? You want great health care? You want great roads and great housing and a great economy? Here's what you need to do. You need to go to the polls. And you don't even really have to look at names. All you got to do is find R's and push it. Find R's and push it. A 70% good Republican is 100% better than a Democrat any day nowadays. Why? Why would I say that? Because it's not the same as it once was, folks. That's right. There was a time in this country when both Democrat and Republicans went to Lee Greenwood and begged him to let them use "God Bless the USA" as their anthem for their convention. That doesn't exist anymore, folks. That's right. There's one country, there's one party that wants to do right by the country, and the state, and one party that doesn't. The one that does is the Republican Party. So guys, when you go to that poll, doesn't matter what that guy tweeted, doesn't matter what they said. If it's an R beside their name, push that button. Because at the end of the day, on November 5th, we win these elections. Republicans win up and down that ballot. I guarantee you this is what's going to happen. We're all going to shake hands. We're all going to agree. And we're all going to move forward and get to work for you so that we can do what needs to be done in this state. God bless you guys. Thank y'all so much. Well, we're just still out on the campaign trail. We don't feel like the campaign is that contentious at all. We had some allegations made against us, and we've got our attorney working on that right now for us while we continue the campaign for governor.
So you're talking about, sign campaign is just attacking you and not doing issues. What do you think the biggest issue for North Carolina?
The hands down, the number one issue for this state right now, I believe, our mission in this state right now should be this. The governor's mansion, the legislature, all of us. North Carolina's economy is extremely fractured. We know that. You take a look at a snapshot of North Carolina and you see good times in the middle when it comes to the economy. But when you head west, you head east, people say there's no opportunities there. I say there's no opportunities not taking advantage of. It's time for us to start taking those advantages of those opportunities by making wise and substantive investments in those places to help those places grow. East of Raleigh is the fastest growing place in the state. Out in New Hanover County, it's growing to the west. Those places are growing together organically. Let's get out there and make some investments in front of that growth to help it keep going so we can build an economy that spans from Murphy to Manio. That should be our North Star in this state. Everybody, the governor, the legislature, all hands on deck. Because it's time to make sure that everybody in this state, no matter where your zip code is, you can make a great living right where you live. You don't have to leave. And so we got a lot of tools at our disposal. Luckily, we're in a great place financially due to the leadership of our Republican-led legislature. We need to build on that in the future and continue to grow.
Hey, you're talking about that population growth. I know that's Wayne Goodwin, the Secretary of Transit, or the DMV Commissioner,
yes,
has said that that's sort of one of the things that's kind of halted.
I understand exactly what you're saying. The number one issue I think is halting our growth right now in those areas, particularly in Johnson County, is infrastructure, roads. What I really would love to do as the governor, I would love to take my team, sit down, examine what happened there, how we let that get away from us, and make sure we don't repeat it as the growth goes. I think that's the best way we can grow this economy. And that, again, I think that's the number one issue facing us. Because as we all know, if you're focusing on the economy and the 5 pillars that it's built on, you're hitting every segment. You're doing all the things you need to be. You're getting all the things you need to get to be successful.
And how, with the contentious media coverage, how important is it for you to get out here and show up to places like Lackawanna and tell your own story?
it's good for us to get out here and get in front of these people to let them know we're not giving up. We're not going to let outside forces determine this race for governor in this state. The things that a lot of the national news media and quite frankly some of the local news media wants to talk about are things, number one, that are not true, and things that quite frankly don't mean worth a hill of beans to the people of the state. As I said in there, people are facing very serious issues in this state. We're talking life and death issues. And it's time for us to get some elected officials that want to be servants to bring solutions to those issues, not folks who want to just sit around and sling mud at their opponents.
I saw you said something, or you said something in here too about the whole fentanyl epidemic. Richmond County is pretty bad area for that.
Sure.
We kind of bounce back and forth between having the highest and second highest fentanyl involved death rates.
Sure.
So I know a lot of it's legislative.
Yeah.
But what do you think is the best route for the state to take in terms of opioid addiction?
So I've said this several times. Now, handling opioid addiction is a combination of legislative work and getting to work with the healthcare sphere to bring some solutions for mental health as a whole. Because we know a lot of times that's what oftentimes drives people into addiction is mental health care. So we got to solve that riddle. But one of the things we desperately need to do right now is we need to get people in office who will give law enforcement the tools to shut off the spigot. We have got to stop it on the street. Suing the drug companies is great and fine, but we know that folks are not getting these drugs from the drug companies. They're getting them from drug dealers out on the street. We've got to shut that spigot off. It starts at that border, which sadly we have no control over, but our border, the borders of our counties, and the interior of our state, we can do something about that. And what we need to do is give law enforcement the tools to be proactive in going after these criminals and stop them before they can fly their wings.
And going back to the mental health thing, so with people who are addicted, do you think that they should be thrown in a cage, or do you think that
absolutely not. One of the worst things that we've done right now when it comes to mental health is this. We have allowed our jails, sadly, to become mental health care centers, and that is not a place where people can get care. We have got to get with talented folks inside the healthcare sphere to bring some inventive ways to get health care and mental health care to every person in this state. We desperately need it. It can get done. It's just a matter of getting together and doing the work.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Yes, I sure do. Thank you, guys.